Hey friends, this is James. Welcome back. Today I'm going to lead you through a 60-minute power yoga class. We'll take it slow and we're going to get nice and deep. So I want you to come and start out in a cross-legged position on your mat. Once you're settled, find the front edge of your sit bones, so pull the flesh away or walk them back. And then press your hands down into your legs. And on an inhale, lift your shoulder heads up, lengthening the spine. And as you exhale, just roll out your shoulders down away from the ears and the back. Take that again. So inhale, press down, lift up. Exhale, roll them out. Nice. One more time. Inhale, press down, lift up tall. Exhale, roll them back. From here, just relax the weight of your hands where it feels comfortable to you. Feel that length all the way up through the back of the neck. Shoulder heads release down. Let your chin come slightly down and back. And then I'll lead us through a 3-part breath exercise to really warm up the depth of the breath. So your next exhale, release all the way down to empty. Breathe into your low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe up into your mid-abdomen for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Feel all the way up to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, just relax. And then like you were quieting someone on your exhale, shh. Let's do that again. Breathe in low belly, low back. Hold there. Take the air up into your mid-abdomen, mid-back, right into the bottom of the rib cage. Pause there. Now fill all the way to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Hold the full breath and relax. And that same exhale. From here, we'll begin doing Ujjayi Pranayama. So this breath practice is victorious breathing, and we take it in and out through the nose by way of the back of the throat. So just release all the way down to the bottom. And then inhale through the nose from the bottom all the way up to the top, just like you're sipping the air in through a straw. And on the exhale, release back out through the nose like you're fogging up a mirror. And you want to start to create the sound of ocean waves, the sound of hollow wind. And as you allow your mind just to focus in on the activity of breathing, we let the world relax out for a little bit. And we get into that inner world. One of my favorite comparisons for meditation is imagine a stream. And that most of life we are just in the stream moving along. When you start to practice meditation or mindfulness, deep breathing you're doing right now, it's as if you're taking a step out of the stream. And for a little bit you're climbing up onto the banks. And you're sitting still on the bank and just watching the water continue to move by, watching the flow continue to move by. But having that grounded place within the movement. So take what works for me, leave the rest behind, and again, let that breath be your guide for your practice. With the eyes closed on your next inhale, extend your arms wide, reach up tall. And as you exhale, just bring your hands together and guide them down into the heart center. Inhale, take the arms wide and tall. On the exhale, hands down into the heart center. Last time, inhale, lengthen wide, reach tall. Exhale, hands into the heart center. Awesome, friends. Bring the eyes open. We're going to shift forward into a tabletop and start to work into cat and cow. So just find your shoulders right above your hands, hips right above your knees. If you know where you're going, I want you to move right into it. If you're not familiar with this one, the cow is where you drop your belly and then you lift up through your chest and you tilt up through your tailbone. And then the cat, we're going to take a big arch through the spine. So tailbone drops down, your mid-back lifts up high, and the weight of your head just releases forward. And then you can work through this just at your own pace. So inhales could pull you up into cow. Exhales can round your back into cat. Or you might take a round of breath in one of those before you move on to the next. You could shift forwards and backwards a little bit, or push out to the sides through your hips or through your shoulders. All the while letting that breath just continue to be your guide. And the last couple rounds of breath here. Nice. Wrap up the round of breath that you're on, getting all the way down to empty. And then we'll do a warm-up for your wrists. So from that tabletop, just turn the insides of your wrists to face towards the front of the room. Your palms are down, fingers point back, and your thumbs point to the side. You might just give a little side-to-side movement or a little back-and-forth movement, or you could lean back in space, peel your hands off the mat to your fingertips, and then slowly rock back forward. Just keep doing that Ujjayi breath with whichever one of these options you're working with. Moving through your fingers, moving through the circle of the palm. Getting into your wrists and your forearms. Awesome. Now take the back of your hands down into the ground and give a little massage. Again, same thing. You could go side to side or back and forth. You could lean back and peel your hands back to your fingernails and then gently rock back forward. You don't need that much pressure into the back of the hand, so my sit bones are dropping closer back towards my heels. And then we'll meet up in Hero's Pose. So tops the feet to the ground, knees together. Just drop your sit bones back towards your heels and then start to give a roll out through your wrists. And if this doesn't work for your body, you could also just stand up on your knees. Roll out your fingers, move through your wrists, stretch out through the forearms. And then we're going to meet up at a forward fold at the top of the mat. So take a step up. Some folks practice with the big toes together and some space between your heels. I tend to practice with my feet on parallel at hip bone distance. Either way works. First off, let your fingertips get all the way into the ground and give your head a slow nod yes. And take slow side to side nod no movements. You can bend your knees as much as you need to root the 10 fingertips to the ground, but then you're lengthening the hips back up in space from that point. And the nod yes and nod no is just allowing the weight of your head to totally relax out here. Keeping that weight heavy in your head, heavy in the arms. Do a slow vertebrae by vertebrae roll up. Your head is the last thing to come up. When it comes up, inhale to stretch and reach your arms up tall. Breathe into mountain. Maybe arc back a little bit. And on the exhale, just guide the hands down into your heart center. From standing, inhale to reach back up into mountain. Nice and tall. And on your exhale, you'll hinge out from your hips and then take your swan dive down to forward fold. I've got some bend in my knees, especially as I fold deep here.
Inhale, half lift. So we're going to hold this one for a few rounds of breath to get into it. You could press your hands into your shins below your knees. You could also press your hands to your thighs above your knees as well. What we're looking to do here is add some bend to the knees and then lengthen the spine parallel to the ground. Gaze is down to the ground, crown of the head is pointing forward. And then we want to let the shoulder blades tone in towards one another. And what that's about is you're strengthening through your shoulders for the upper spine. You've got the core nice and strong for that low back. And then you're pressing into your legs to extend yourself forward to also support that back extension. Awesome, friends. On that next exhale, let's take a deep forward fold, and this time one of my favorite variations, just a ragdoll frame. So for ragdoll, opposite hand to the outside of opposite elbow or bicep. And then you let it just gently sway your whole torso and your arms, gently sway side to side or lightly rock back and forth. If you practice with your big toes together, this is a good place to take your feet out to hip bone distance or maybe even a little wider. Just relax the weight of the head. Use that breathing. Awesome, friends. Release the arms. And again, let's do that slow vertebrae by vertebrae wind up. Head being the very last thing to come up. When your head comes up, inhale to reach your arms wide, stretch up tall, maybe arc back a little bit. And on the exhale, guide your hands to your heart center. So for the first power pose that we'll come into is going to be chair pose, Utkatasana. So this is a squat where you're reaching your sit bones back in space, then drawing your arms up. One of the things I think about when you're going into this is it's kind of like you're a skier tucking down a mountain. That's the hips getting sent back. But then in this yoga position, in this squat, we lift up through the chest. So your core needs to strengthen around your low back, and then your shoulder blades need to gently tone towards one another for your upper spine. Sometimes your arms going a little wider helps with that toning all the way to goal pose. And then you're loading the weight into your knee joints. We're in a squat position, so we need to strengthen around the knee joints. So feel the lower legs pressing to the ground. Feel your upper legs wrapping around the knees and feel your glutes drawing up and away. Engage those glutes. If you're ever confused what the glute muscle does, you can, from standing, take the back of your hand to your glute and then just swing your leg back in space. You'll feel it engages, it pulls back, so it draws back away. Take your hands to your chest in chair. Draw a deep breath in, and we'll do a twist to the right on your exhale. So guide your left elbow to the top and outside of your right knee or thigh. And if you're practicing with the big toes together, also dial the ankle bones, the knees, and the thighs to all press to center. So as you're pressing here, you want to start to lift your chest up to the same level as the knuckles of your thumbs. Your gaze goes over to the right, and you're stacking the right shoulder over the left shoulder. Watch that your knees aren't collapsing into center or that your left knee's not twisting forward beyond your right. I like to think about this. Keep the skis going down the mountain. And use that breath. When your exhale comes out of the twist, your body gets to empty and can twist a little deeper. Nice. Last couple rounds of breath here. Inhale, reach back up into that regular chair. Feel the strength of your legs supporting that seat that you're taking. Strengthen through your shoulders for your upper spine. Feel the core nice and strong. Okay, hands into the heart center, palms together, breathe in. When the exhale comes, we'll switch our sides out. So now twisting and bringing your right elbow to the top and outside of your left thigh. Again, start to twist open so that the sternum is lifting to the same level as the knuckles of your thumbs. Your left shoulder is stacking over your right. Your gaze is over to the left. Knees are lined up in front of you, so hips are lined up behind you. And if your feet are at hip bone distance, watch that the knees stay at hip bone distance. They don't cave in or fall outwards. Use your breathing. Last couple rounds of breath. Get all the way down to the end of that exhale. And then on your inhale, you're going to rise all the way up into mountain. With the exhale, cactus your arms. Let your shoulder blades tone in. Add some softness to your knees and then press to the ground. Lift up to your spine and take a baby back bend, shining the heart up, letting those shoulder blades tone in and support you. So you'll feel the strength from your feet all the way through your legs, through your core, all the way up through your chest, all the way through your back. Next, inhale, reach up tall in space. And when that exhale comes, hinge out from your hips. Take your swan dive down into your forward fold. Inhale to that half lift, extending through your spine, strengthening through your core. And then this time, bend your knees a little deeper and start to reach your fingertips to the wall behind you. Your elbows could slightly bend and lift towards the sky. And then, you guessed it, shoulder blades are toning in towards one another. Gaze down, crown of the head is reaching forward. Use that breath. Nice last couple rounds of breath. Take that deep inhale. When your exhale comes, release it all forward. That should feel nice to release into a forward fold after that one. Awesome, friends. Step back. Let's find a plank position, Palakasana. Inside of this plank, your hands are right underneath your shoulders. Feet are just kind of right at about hip bone distance. And then I want you to shift a little forwards and a little bit backwards, kind of rock slowly forwards, rock slowly backwards. Check if the elbows are locked. Add some softness. Tone your biceps in like there's a beach ball between your biceps you're holding into place. And then we want to lift those hips up on level with the shoulders. Start to hold it. With your tailbone, there's this interesting thing where you don't want to feel like you're fully tucking it. You also don't want to feel like you're lifting it up like cow. It's kind of right in between. And what it ends up doing is engaging through the abdominal wall and engaging the core around that low back, holding you up in your plank. Awesome, friends. We're going to shift this to Vashisthasana side plank for your right hand. So roll onto the outside edge of your right foot, stack the left over your right, and then you can keep your left hand to your hip or reach and extend your left arm up tall in space. You could also do this with your right knee below your hip as a kickstand, and then your toes are out to the right side of your mats. Watch that your right hand is directly underneath your right shoulder. Keep drawing those hips up away. You're not only using the core muscles, also the obliques. And find that breathing. Relax through the face. You're doing great. Take one more inhale here, and on your exhale, turn back down. Awesome. Switch it out. So roll onto the outside edge of your left foot. Stack your right onto your left. Reach up through that right arm or bring the hand to your hip. Bow the hips up away from the ground. Maybe you've got that left knee below your hip, toes out to the left side like a kickstand. And using that breath to dig in and stay focused. Stay spread out into your fingers, into the circle of your palm. Lift up nice and tall. Almost there. Nice, friends. Take the inhale there. Now on your exhale, turn down to your plank. Hinge forward and slowly lower all the way down to your belly. Once you land down to your belly and the hips are comfortable to the ground, we're going to start to reach back into Locust Pose. So for Locust Pose, you can lift your legs up off the ground with your feet flying back. And then like we did in that last half lift where I had you extend your fingers back in space, you'll lengthen your arms to the back of the room. Again, little bend through your elbows. They can lift up a little bit, shoulder blades tone in. Now on this one, find the length through the back of your neck. You are lifting up through your chest to look forward, but you're not straining your chin up. Feel the strength of your shoulders for the upper spine. And that lift through the legs. Hips are pressing down into the ground. Chin is slightly back in and down. The last couple rounds of breath. So take that deep breath into it. On your exhale, release down. And then we're going to lift up to the top of a plank and shift back into down dog. Friends, as you arrive in this first downward facing dog, slowly start to walk out through your down dog. And I love doing the plank transition to down dog because it lines up the distance of your hands to your feet really nicely for down dog. I tend to come in just a little bit closer. And then as you're walking your down dog out, if you're not familiar with this one, what you're doing is you let one heel press to the ground as opposite knee bends. You are starting to reach the hips up really tall away from the hands, lengthening through the spine. Weight of the head relaxes so your gaze is back behind you. Okay, now as we start to hold our down dog, just press into the circle of your palms, spread out through your fingers, add a little bit of a grip. Lengthen through your arms, but then add the micro bend, the softness to the elbows. Biceps are fully toned into center line. Beach ball is clutched. Weight of the head is released, and the hips are lifting back up tall, but then the heels start to draw back down. So much nice engagement in this down dog. Okay, we're going to take the right leg back and up, three-legged down dog. So essentially all we're doing is creating a diagonal line from the hands all the way back up through your right heel. Press up through your heel, and I want you to pretend that the heel is actually touching the wall or pressing into the wall. And that's going to keep us from dropping or sinking down into our left hip. So you're kind of lifting out of that hip and feeling that extension up and back through the heel with those toes flexed, pointing down. Stay with the breath, friends. Find those inhales and those exhales. Feel the front of your right hip bone pointing down and back in space. Think about your legs are like a pair of scissors opening up away from one another. Awesome, friends. Let's go ahead and take one more deep inhale. And then on your exhale, I want you to start to work the right foot up in between your hands for a low lunge position. From there, on an inhale, rise up, high crescent lunge. Feel the ball of your left foot off the ground and drawing forwards in space. Your left thigh is pulling forward, and as you press down strong into your right leg, and you feel that upper right leg wrapping around your knee, your right thigh is pulling back to meet your left. Pinkies forward, thumbs back, shoulder heads release down away from the ears and the back. Next exhale, open up, vertical twist to the right. Right hand behind you, left arm forward. Stay with that breathing. No need for your spine to hinge forward. It's straight up in space. Your gaze is to the right or even slightly back behind you where those right fingers are. Beautiful breathing. Get all the way down to the end of your next exhale. And then we're going to open this to Warrior Two. So now letting your left arm reach back in space and your right arm draw forwards. You might open your stance up a little more from the front of the mat to the back, letting that right thigh drop a little more parallel to the ground. As you press strongly into both of your feet, your thighs are toning back in, and your gaze is out across the right fingertips. Allow your shoulder heads just to release down away from the ears on the back, opening through your chest. Beautiful, friends. Breathe into it. And then on your next exhale, we'll take this to extended side angle pose, bringing your right forearm to your right thigh as your left arm draws up tall in space, or lengthening the right arm down the inside of the right leg with your elbow pressed to your knee, and then your fingertips just off the ground, back of the hand into your ankle. Nice. Find that breath. Let your back left hip lower down on level with your front right hip. And let your gaze just pull back up in space where your left hand is reaching. We'll come back up to Warrior Two. And for Reverse Warrior, left hand to your hip thigh or behind you. Reach the right arm up tall. A little bend to your elbow. Take your gaze up and continue to stay deep into our lunge. Don't feel like you need to lean back in Reverse Warrior. Let it be straight up through that side body. Next, exhale, friends. Just cartwheel your hands down into a low lunge position. Step back into your plank. This time, we'll exhale halfway down, leading forward with your sternum. Press the tops of your feet and rise into upward facing dog. Relax the shoulder heads down away from the ears on the back here. Tops of the feet are rooted, palms are to the mat. So your hips are off the ground, and you're holding the weight of your body in this back bend. And then tuck your toes and pull your hips back and up in space. We're in downward facing dog. I want you to focus here on finding the alignment of your downward facing dog. Feel those hips pulling back and up in space as those heels draw down towards the ground. Inhale, left leg back up, three-legged down dog. Again, holding this leg out on the diagonal, pressing through your heel, front of your hip bone pointing down and back in space, but really finding that extension and that lift. Like you can press your heel all the way up back behind you in space. One more inhale lifts up. And on that exhale, come up to your low lunge position. Low lunge brings us into our high crescent lunge, so start to lift up. You've got the ball of the right foot to the ground. Your heel is lifting off the ground. You're pulling that right thigh forward. Left thigh is pulling back to meet it. Pressing to left foot. And then strengthening around your left knee and feeling that left glute pulling back and up and away. Draw your arms up tall. Relax your shoulder heads away from the ears on the back as you extend the fingers tall. Again, pinkies forward, thumbs back. And then we're going to take this high crescent lunge and we're going to hold a vertical twist. So breathe in here, and on your next exhale, take your left arm behind you, extend your right arm forward in space. Your spine stays straight up. Both of your palms are open to the left. Gaze is to the left or even twisting backwards, more to where that left hand is reaching. Almost there, friends. Stay with that breath. So take that full inhale, get all the way down to the end of the exhale, and then we'll open to warrior two. So knife edge of your right foot to the ground. Maybe lengthen your stance out a little bit. Heels are in one line from the front of the room to the back, and then with your spine straight up in space, extend out through your arms. Relax your shoulder heads down away from the ears on the back. Bring that left knee right over your left heel. Press into both of the feet. Feel those thighs toning back and in. And working with that breathing. Nice job. Last couple rounds of breath here. So start to take this into your extended side angle pose. Maybe left forearm to left thighs, right arm lifts up. Maybe you're dropping that left arm to the inside of your left leg, elbow against your knee, fingers reaching down almost to the ground, but then pressing to the inside of the ankle. Drop that back right hip so it's on level with your left. Find that lift through your inner left side body. Use your breathing. Almost there. Last round of breath. Rise back up to your warrior two. Right hand to your hip, to your thigh, or behind you. You're deep in your lunge. Reach your left arm straight up in space, and then bend your elbow. Take your gaze up a little bit. Let your right shoulder drop back for that reverse warrior. Okay, so draw your inhale, breathe into it. And when your exhale comes, cartwheel your hands down to your low lunge. Step back to your plank. And then on your exhale, just lower halfway down. Press to the tops of your feet. Inhale to that upward facing dog, maybe 1 or 2 rounds of breath here. and we meet in our down dog. Take that nice lift up through the hips. Draw down through your heels, press to your palms. And relax your head. Awesome, friends. On an inhale, lift your right leg back and up, three-legged down dog, but this time add a scorpion tail. So you lift the knee up tall, and then you bend the knee and start to bring your heel in towards your sit bones. The front of your right hip bone is starting to open more to the right. And watch that your left heel is not swiveling to the left and that you're not sinking into your left shoulder. Take a couple more rounds of breath. Lift into that scorpion tail. Nice work. Okay, we're going to breathe into that scorpion tail. And on your next exhale, step up to your low lunge position. Awesome. From here, heel toe your right foot over to the right side of your mat. Walk your left foot a little bit back into the left. And then bring both of your hands under your shoulders so they're on the inside of that right foot. Okay, you can stay on your hands for this. What we're looking for, though, is to work our way down onto the forearms or elbows. If you have a yoga block, you could take it on level 1 or even level 2, and then bring your forearms down to the block. If your elbows come to the ground, awesome. What you want to check, though, is that the right elbow is the one that's pressing to the ground as well as the left. Because it's easy to get your left elbow down. What you're working for is the right elbow down. So find your place inside of that. And then your head does not need to be lifted. It can just be more in a relaxed position. You're focused on keeping that right knee right above your right heel. This is runner's lunge, lizard pose. And then the way that we've got it with your back knee lifted, you want to check that the hips are not sinking to the left or to the right. Your hips are squared to the ground, also squared to the front of the room. You're lifting them on level with your shoulders like you would do in a forearm plank. And the breath, you got it. Last round of breath. Press up to your hands. If you're using that block, slide it out of the way. Heel toe your right foot back in, and then we're going to come back into our high crescent lunge. We've already been here. Take that high crescent lunge, but then stand up on your right leg so you come into one-legged mountain. So rooting to your right foot, and then you're lifting that left knee up in space. Left knee is bent at 90, and your thigh bone's plugging into your hips as you extend up tall through your arms. You want to focus your gaze on an object that's not moving. Feel your right foot spread out into the ground, even maybe a little bit of a grip of your right toe. And then we're going to take figure 4. This is a really nice hip stretch and one-legged balance. Your left ankle goes over the top of your right thigh. And then you take a squat in just your right leg. So it's like you're doing chair in just your right leg. Hands can be to your heart center like I'm doing. Or one hand to your knee, one hand to your heel. Your toes are flexing back in towards your shin. And your knee is gently flexing down. And then for this version today, keep your chest lifted like you would do in a regular chair. And then if you want to combine what we did in chair earlier with our twist, we can do that here in this figure 4. So stay where you're at, or if you want to twist this one, you're going to guide your left elbow. So my right hand has my left elbow, and then you guide it down into the bottom of the left foot. You could do palms here, or I'm going to do a fist with my bottom hand, and my right hand is going to have an open palm. It's going to press into the fist. And then you're twisting open with your gaze to the ground or somewhere over to the right. And if you fall out of it, no worries, friends. Almost there. Nice. Rise back up, one-legged mountain. Bring that left knee with you. Take that big inhale to it. And on your exhale, swim back, low lunge. Okay, for Pigeon Pose, now walk your right foot over to the left side of your mat, making the number 7 shape with your legs. Slide the top of your left foot back a little bit in space away from you. And then you can have the top of your right foot or the side of your right foot to the ground. Press into your fingertips, lift up through your chest. Nice deep breath in. And on your exhale, just bring it down onto your forearms. And bring your head to the ground or to a block or to the floor. Check that your hips aren't sinking to the left or to the right. The top of your left leg, top of your left hip is pointing right down to the ground. Hips are on parallel with one another in space, pointing to the ground. Find that breath. Nice, friends. Last couple rounds of breath. So press into your hands. Lift up through your chest. Tuck back through your left toes and bring your right leg back up in space, 3-legged down dog. Give a little movement through it, maybe a scorpion tail or out to the side or up and down. Find that full down dog and then shift forward into your plank. Again, exhale halfway down. Root to the tops of the feet. Inhale up dog. Tuck your toes and we'll exhale back into down dog. On an inhale from this down dog, reach and extend your left leg back up tall in space. And on your exhale, you're going to open your hip and bend your knee into that scorpion tail. So again, watch that you're not sinking down into your right side body. Right shoulder is strong on level with the left. Right heel is pointing straight down and back. And then you're lifting that left knee tall as you add the bend and then drape the toes down over towards the side, your heel coming in towards your sit bones. Take 2 more deep rounds of breath here, guys. You're doing great. Okay, then you'll breathe into it. And when that exhale comes, you're taking it up to a low lunge position, foot up between your hands. From here, walk your left foot over the left side of your mat, and then slide your right leg a little bit back into the right. So this is our lizard pose or our runner's lunge. Stay on your hands. They're on the inside of the left foot. under your shoulders, or block on level 1 or level 2, elbows or forearms down to the block, or we've got the forearms down to the ground. But again, your right forearm easily will press down. It's the left elbow, left forearm that we're interested in. Keep that knee right above your heel. You could also turn your toes out a little to the left, opening the inside of your left foot a little to the front of the room. And then we're keeping those hips up in space and supported. Square to the ground, square to the front of the room. Neck muscles can take a little relax here and find your breath. Last couple rounds of breath. From your elbows, press to your hands. Slide the block out of the way. Heel toe your left foot back and in. And then we're lifting up into that high lunge. So kick your arms up nice and tall. From the high lunge, press off your back right leg and draw your arms in your right knee. Almost fell out of that one. I'm going to try it again. From your high lunge, lift up. Find that one-legged mountain. Okay, so think about your thigh bones plugged into your hip. You're focusing your gaze on one object that's not moving. You're feeling that left foot spread to the ground, big left toe grip. And then now, for our figure 4, your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. You're squatting into that chair. You could bring your hands to your chest and then lift up through your chest like you're in chair. We want to add strength into the right ankle. Just your toes flex to your shin. Your knee gently flexes down. Great place to stay. If we're doing the twist on this side, we're going to take that left hand and guide the right elbow down into the bottom of that left foot or that right foot. Once you've got your right elbow and it's into the bottom of the right foot, you're going to make a fist with your right hand, open palm with the left, and then press the left hand into your fist, gently twist open. Gaze to the ground or maybe over more to the side. Last couple rounds of breath. So you rise back up, one-legged mountain, bring the arms in that left knee. And on your exhale, swim back to a low lunge. Awesome. For pigeon on this side, walk your left foot over to the right side of your mat, and then drop your knee over to the left. Slide your right leg back, the top of the foot's to the ground, and then press up to your fingertips. Again, side of your left foot or top of the left foot to the ground. You want to have your left knee wide out from your left hand. When you're pressing to your fingertips, left knee to the outside of your left hand. Come down to your forearms and bring your head to the ground, to the hands, or to a block. And for more intensity, you can have that shin more parallel up to the top of your mat with the side of the foot to the ground. Less intensity, you can angle the shin away from the top of the mat, put more the top of the foot into the ground. Watch again that you're not sinking into your left hip or into your right hip. You've got your hips squared down towards the floor. Relax your upper body. Nice breathing. As we move into these last few rounds of breath, there's this basic concept with deep breathing in these poses where you think about the inhale as coming into the stretch and is creating space. Like imagine a balloon pushing up. And when the exhale comes, you release, and then the space you've just created, you then get to release into. Nice, and then press to your hands, lift up through your chest. We'll tuck the back right toes, bring your left leg up in space, give a little bit of movement to it. Find that downward facing dog. From this down dog, I want you just to bring it down to your knees, and then you're going to swing your legs all the way forward in space. Stretch your legs out, and then plant your heels to the ground with your toes pointing up, and walk your sit bones back away. So your feet are just to the top of your mat. With a little bit of a bend in your knees on the front edge of your sit bones, inhale to reach your arms straight up in space. And it's like you're doing mountain just from the front edge of the sit bones. Next, exhale, hinge out from your hips, dive forward, and connect your hands to your toes, your feet, your shins, or even the ground. On an inhale, just lift your head and gaze up, extend and reach forward like you're pulling your sternum towards the front of the room. Stretch out that low back, and then exhale to bend and fold back down. Gaze is to the ground, crown of the head is reaching forward. You can add more bend into your knees, or you can subtract the bend in your knees as you need to. Sometimes if you're just like right within reach of grabbing your toes, bending the knees a little bit deeper and connecting to your toes can give you something to pull against. Another thing that's really great is you have a yoga strap. You can take that around the balls of the feet or around the arches of the feet, and then you can pull both ends of the strap with your hands, and it can do the same thing. Beautiful breathing. Nice. Last couple rounds of breath here. Stretching the legs, stretching through the spine. Get down to the end of the breath, and on your inhale, just reach your arms wide and tall, lift up. And as you exhale, bring your hands down into your heart center. Awesome, friends. Just slide your hips up, roll the weight onto your back, bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your knees, and give yourself a little rock side to side, massaging out the hips, low back, and the sacrum. If you let your knees go a little bit away from you, you'll get more into the hips. If you lift your knees in, you'll feel the tailbone peel off the ground and get more into your back. And then plant your feet for bridge pose at hip bone distance on parallel with one another. Knees are up in space. Bring the sit bones back in close to you. We want them underneath your knees. And then press down into your triceps. Lift your hips off the ground. Press back to your head. Bring your shoulder blades in a little bit closer so they make a shelf for your heart. And then you can keep your elbows as they are, or you could bring your hands all the way down to the ground, up to you. But root into all edges, all corners of your feet, and stay with your breath. take one more inhale to press and lift. And on your exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, release it down. Find a happy baby. Peace sign fingers hook around your big toes or to the edges of your feet. Take your knees out wide. Bend the knees. Stack your ankles above the knees. The bottoms of the feet are pointing to the sky. You can rock side to side. And just gently pull down on the frame, letting your low back press to the ground. Stack your knees over to the left so you roll onto the outside edge of your left hip. And then reach your right arm to the right and take your gaze out over your fingertips. Left hand just gently pulls down on the top and outside of that right knee. Again, use those exhales to let your body get a little deeper into it. And then bring your knees back up to center. Take a little rock. And then we'll switch things out, stacking the knees now over to the right. Rolling onto the outside edge of your right hip. Reaching, extending the left arm to the left and taking your gaze out over your left fingertips. Right hand can grab onto the top outside of that left knee and give a gentle pull down. Let your left shoulder relax to the ground or gently press towards the ground as well. And allow your breath just to snake its way through your spine inside of that twist. And when you're feeling complete on both sides, roll onto your back, bring your knees into your chest, wrap the arms around them, and just give yourself a little rock side to side. We'll move into a couple minutes here in our final resting pose. This is corpse posture or Shavasana. So just extend your legs out. Let the weight of the feet relax open. Bring your arms down at your sides. Let the palms relax. The hands relax. Palms are to the sky. And then you can close your eyes here and let go of controlling your breath. Just allow your body just to take back over on the inhales and the exhales automatically. And as we come into this deeper place of rest and of stillness, and we create that physical stillness, we're inviting our mind and our emotions into this deeper place of stillness, so into a deeper place of peace. Nice and slow, just start to bring some life to your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, reaching the arms back behind you, rolling out the ankles and the wrists. And then turning the weight of your body onto its side into a fetal position, curling up, letting the weight of the head just relax to your outstretched arm. And taking a deeper breath. Pressing the hands to the mat, keeping the eyes closed, come up to a cross-legged position. And just like at the beginning of class, as you root, find the front edge of your sit bones to root into. Take that roll of your shoulder heads, opening through the chest, finding the length through your spine. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether it is clear to you or not, no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. It's been a pleasure to lead you through your yoga practice today. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste. Awesome, friends. Thanks so much for joining me for another great yoga class. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. As always, please click like, subscribe, and share. It helps out a ton. If you are in a place you'd like to make a donation, I've got my Venmo ID and link in the description, so that'd be awesome. And if not, no worries. It's my gift to you. So have an awesome one, and I'll catch you next time. Much love.